5 tips for setting boundaries with people who try to squash your weirdness. You've been told that you have a unique personality, and there are some people in your life who have tried to squash that. Unfortunately, you struggle with setting boundaries, but the good news is you're not alone. This is something that a lot of people seem to struggle with. In this tutorial, we'll explain 5 tips for setting boundaries with those who are trying to stifle your uniqueness. There are 2 main functions of boundaries. They tell others how you want to be treated, protecting you from being mistreated. They build a healthy separation between you and others, allowing you to have your own space/privacy as well as your own ideas, thoughts, feelings and needs. You're free to be yourself instead of simply an extension of someone else, or who/what someone else wants you to be. If you never experienced clear, consistent boundaries and/or expectations when you were growing up, it's probably not natural for you. You may feel like you don't deserve to ask for what you want/need. However, you can release these negative beliefs regarding boundaries. The following 5 tips will help. Be clear. Before you start establishing boundaries, you must be clear about what it is that you want and why that's important to you. This will help you explain what you need and help you maintain your stance when things get tough. If you're trying to establish a difficult boundary, it may be helpful to jot down what it is that you want and why. Some people find that writing out a script and rehearsing it decreases their anxiety. Be direct/don't apologize. When you communicate your boundaries, it's best to be direct and concise. If you try to explain, justify, or apologize for your boundaries, your message isn't as strong. Whatever you do, keep it simple and keep in mind that you have every right to ask for what you want/need. You don't need a reason. Expect resistance. When you start establishing boundaries, some people will not respond gracefully. This is usually the people that have been benefiting from your lack of boundaries. They don't want you to change. Some of them will use anger to try and manipulate you and get you to change your mind. Others just need some time to adjust to the new you. One of the reasons people don't set boundaries is because they want to avoid conflict or upset anyone. When people don't like the boundaries you're trying to establish, it's easy to revert back to your former passivity. However, even if your boundaries do provoke resistance or anger, you should never not set them. You just need to take steps to protect yourself. When people fight against your boundaries, it only confirms that they're needed. It's an ongoing process. If you've got any experience with children, you know that you've got to set rules repeatedly and be clear with them about what you expect. The same thing needs to be done when setting boundaries with adults. You can't just set it and forget it. You'll likely need to set the same boundary over and over with the same person. Then, as needs change, you may need to establish different boundaries. They are for your well-being. You should never use boundaries to control/punish others. Boundaries should be used as a form of self-face, something you do for your personal well-being. They help you avoid being taken advantage of, being overworked, physical/emotional abuse or harm, overcommitting yourself, or feeling overwhelmed. Conclusion. You've got a very unique personality, but unfortunately there are people in your life that will try to squash that. However, you must keep in mind that you matter. Your feelings, dreams, needs and ideas are all important. You can establish parameters of how people are allowed to treat you. These 5 tips can help you set boundaries with people who try to squash your uniqueness. 5 ways to stop looking for approval from other people. We all seek validation and approval from others. It's part of the human condition. This is perfectly acceptable to do occasionally. However, at some point it becomes habit, and this is when it's time to take a step back and realize that you don't have to have the approval of others to feel good about yourself and your achievements. In this tutorial, we're going to explain 5 ways that you can stop looking for approval from other people. Why do we seek approval? The truth is, confidence comes from validation. If we don't trust ourselves, we turn to others to find that approval. We trust the opinion of others more than we trust our own. We believe their opinion of us holds greater validity because we don't believe in ourselves or our own perspective. However, there is some good news. You can turn this around and learn to build stronger trust/confidence in yourself. 5 ways to stop seeking the approval of others. The good news is it's possible to flip the script and learn to build stronger trust and confidence in ourselves. These 5 tips will help. Replace your inner critic. According to the experts, we are our own worst critic. When we're critical with ourselves, it undermines our confidence. Therefore, when you have these critical thoughts, try to catch them, either by meditating or journaling, and pay attention to how they make you feel. Acknowledge them, but counter them by reminding yourself that you are valuable and capable. Invite nice people into your circle. When you're surrounded by people that don't have your back, we begin to crave validation. People who judge you or ignore your text messages leave you feeling insecure and craving approval. Therefore, you need at least one person in your circle that will hype you up. This can be a friend or mentor or someone that inspires you in some way. You need to hear these voices that remind you that you are important to the world. Check your beliefs. While it's perfectly acceptable to collaborate with others, you don't want to be persuaded by what they say because you may not believe in your own voice. When you check the accuracy of your belief, you realize that your story isn't stable, and you'll consider others' beliefs. Don't forget to practice. When you're not 100% proficient at something, you feel the need to check with others to make sure you're doing it right. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with checking in with others, the best way to improve your own confidence is by practicing it yourself because, after all, confidence comes with competence. The more you practice, the greater your confidence, and the less likely you are to look for approval from others. Try to understand why you seek approval. When you understand why it is that you're seeking approval, it's easier to overcome this behavior. Before you reach out to others for approval, ask yourself why you don't trust your own opinion on the matter. You may find that you're seeking approval because you're unsure about something, or maybe it's because you want someone else to like or accept you. Conclusion. Seeking out the approval of others is part of the human condition. We all do it, at least from time to time. There are several reasons why we might be doing this, the primary one being that we don't have the confidence in ourselves. However, with these 5 tips, you can learn to stop trying to look for approval from others and live your best life.